Today I have a new album review. It's for the album State of Emergency by Prong. This is a band I listened to a lot when I was younger. I kind of forgot about them, and then I heard they had a new album coming out. I was surprised because this band has been active pretty much since they started, even though I haven't really listened to them in about like 20-something years. The first album I ever bought from this band was Beg to Differ from 1990. This was actually their second album, but the first major label album. Beg to Differ was a great album and often considered to be one of the first groove metal albums ever released. It came out a few months before Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. They released Cleansing in 1994. That was another album I loved that featured the single Snap Your Finger, Snap Your Neck, probably their most popular song. I think the last album I had bought from them was Rude Awakening in 1996, and then I had completely forgotten about this band. To be honest, I thought they broke up after that, but they actually released, wait for it, another 8 albums. So their total studio album count is now 13 albums, and I had not actually known about that at all. Now, what do they sound like? They play what you would call groove metal. They're from New York. They have that New York hardcore influence, so they can be compared to bands like Helmet or Anthrax in that respect. They released 3 singles, and I listened to them yesterday to prepare for this review. My first impression was that they were a lot heavier than I remember, but they also didn't lose their sound. Vocalist Tommy Victor sounds the same as I remember him. He's also the only constant member of the band, and this band has mostly operated as the 3-piece over the years. Here's some history before I get into the songs. Founding member Tommy Victor was originally a sound engineer in the famous New York City club called CBGB's, and the original bass player Mike Kirkland was a doorman at that same club. They rounded out the band as a 3-piece with Ted Parsons, who was the drummer for the band Swans. But that's enough history, and then we get into the review now. It's their first album in 6 years. The reason for the long gap was due to both the pandemic and things are going on in Tommy Victor's life. The album has 11 songs, it's 41 minutes. There's a Rush cover as the last song, and I'll talk about that one later. First song is The Descent, and my first impression was that I thought they were a lot heavier than I remember, but this is probably the heavy song on the album. It has some thrash metal influence. It also retains their core sound. This is still the Prong that I remember. They also incorporate groove metal in the breakdown and some cool string bends. It's just a great song. It puts you in a good mood when you listen to it. Next is State of Emergency. This is classic Prong from the 90s. It has a cool groove to it. The chugging guitar sound is very good. The vocals sound a lot like I remember from their early albums. The lyrics are very political as usual. So in the chorus, Tommy says like, last class, mass confusion, total disruption. That suggests some type of like New World Order takeover where the elites are divided amongst everyone else. Breaking Point starts off with some cool pinch harmonics. It gives the song that signature groove metal sound. It also has that New York hardcore style sound with different vocals used. In the song, Tommy sings the line, "So many people have had enough." This can be interpreted in many different ways. It sounds like people eventually stop trusting the people who are trying to deceive them, or they reach a breaking point. It's an awesome song, has a classic 90s sound, and one of my favorites on the album. Non-Existence is another one that has that specific 90s sound. This one has a big hardcore influence and also a lot of those thrash metal influenced chugging guitar riffs. The song is filled with energy, has a very full sound, especially the guitar sound. Light Turns Black is next. This one has like a thrash metal influence. It also brings back a little of that hardcore sound. This one reminded me of their 90s sound, maybe the mid-90s albums when they started to incorporate some industrial. The vocals are exceptionally angry in this track as well. The next song is Who Told Me. This one also reminded me of something from Beg to Differ, especially the way that Tommy Victor seems to yell the lines in the microphone in short bursts. This one has a very full sound with him playing both groove metal guitar riffs and playing full guitar chords to give it more density. Obedience is next. This one really sounds like it's out of the 90s. It has those isolated staccato guitar riffs. This brought back a lot of memories. I think this could have been on their Beg to Differ album. It has that unique sound that was captured in the mid-90s. It reminds me a lot of the band Helmet, where they mix the vocal styles between the harsh vocals and the cleaner singing. Disconnected is one of the songs that stands out because the vocals are very different. Sounds almost like a punk rock song with clean singing and melodic guitar chords. I thought this one was a nice change of pace. It has a brighter tone than most of the other songs. It's more upbeat. At the same time, it doesn't stray too much from the core sound.
Because you have to live in silence.
Compliant is next. This is an angry song. This has Tommy speaking the lines of the verses at the start of the song. It's one of some post-punk influence, especially in the guitar playing. You can hear some influence from bands like Joy Division or Killing Joke in some of the guitar playing. The vocals are classic Prong with a shouting style vocals throughout the verses. Back in New York City is a cool song. This one is like a tribute to the classic hardcore sound of New York City in the 80s. It's very angry, it's aggressive, it's defiant. They're bringing some of their 90s sound to the song. It's just classic Prong. I thought it was cool. And it was the last original song on the album because the next one is a cover. The last one is Working Man by Rush. This is from the first Rush album from 1974, and this is like Rush in the style of Black Sabbath. It's such an iconic guitar riff, and it makes it sound a lot like Black Sabbath's song. Keep in mind, this was in the 70s. Rush was more of a metal band. It's a great cover. I always thought that this song needed to be covered by a metal band. They even add their own flavor to the song with this tempo shift that goes into the solo. So in conclusion, October started off great with this album. I'm glad this band is still around now. I'm interested in listening to the albums I missed over the years. Listening to this was like reuniting with an old friend because I really liked this band when I was younger. It's a killer album, start to finish. My score is a 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Check out this video right here. I did a series of underrated albums of the 90s. In the first episode, I talk about Beg to Differ. I don't talk about it for a long time, but that's the only other Prong review I have on my channel, so I felt that it would be a good idea to put that there. And please comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.